but not in the case of this or any other gang stalker, since the motives of this particular species of creature revolve entirely around the business of inciting trouble, preferably the kind of trouble that attracts the police, or failing that, the mental health services.
Call police.
Give me a light. Get right.
Call police.
After I showed some video of the gang stalker I codenamed Whitebeard to the police, and the police consequently spoke to him about his antisocial behavior, I predicted that he would be replaced by a new set of gang stalkers that I called replacement agents. The individual on your screen is one of them.
Hey, stop making a fucking mess in the bathroom. Hey.
I mean, this is the guy that was looking at me like this. Now, do you think this is the look of someone motivated solely by the opportunity to offer some friendly or constructive advice? Or is this the face of someone who wants to cause me harm?
I tell you what, this camera is a line in the sand. Any gang stalkers that come along knocking, trying to cross that line, I will record them and expose them to the world. So those gang stalkers better watch themselves.
The ongoing psychological warfare of constant surveillance and cold-blooded accusing looks continues. How many instances of people staring at me like this have I posted since I first started recording these things 12 months ago? Quite a few, and that's only the ones that were close and out in the open enough to come out well on video. Can anyone experiencing the same be blamed for thinking that something is not quite right here? That the frequency with which it happens is perhaps by design? Because it is. As I've said before, this has been happening for a long time, and it has its influences in the supernatural. Demonic influences, to be exact, as hard as that may be for some to believe. Well, as long as that doesn't translate to their human gophers trying to put their hands on me, they can watch me all they like. Nowadays, it's just another chapter in another gang stalking video to me. Gang stalkers like to set up situations where I'm supposed to help them with a problem. By now, it must be common knowledge among them that I've become good at recognizing them when I see them. They also know I don't like talking to them when I do. Hence the whole strategy behind the fake inquiry. The idea is to start a conversation with me whereby I'm obligated by custom to answer them and help them. When I don't, they become verbally abusive or start making threats. Always a good indicator that I'm dealing with someone that is less than genuine. I posted a previous video showcasing this kind of attack, where a woman starts threatening to call the police on me because I don't answer her question.
Mate, how you going there? You don't know where is the chute to put the books in the library? Excuse me? You okay there? Parlez français? Library? The chute, you know?
One more time.
I'm gonna call the police.
It's an intimidation tactic, a power display, as if to say, we have the power to make you do what we want when we want, or we'll make trouble for you. If out of defiance I therefore refuse to play along, you can be sure that whatever the perp says next will be designed to piss me off. What better way to trigger any man, never mind the black one, than to threaten him with the police when all he was doing was sitting down minding his own business? This, the gang stalkers hope, leads to a big argument that escalates to a point where the police are called. Got you, sunshine. Because I'm so focused on the confrontation right in front of me, I'm not supposed to notice another perp or perps watching the whole thing unfold from a distance, ready to make sure that the police get the call. And when the police arrive, you can also be confident that it will be with the understanding that I'm the culprit, and a dangerous one at that. Had I taken the bait and allowed myself to be manipulated into responding the way he obviously would have liked, that's exactly what the perp was aiming for in the latest example of this type of attack. He started off benignly enough, but my instincts served me well in warning me not to answer him, or even directly look at him, as I picked up on his aura of malice and deceit. Because after reviewing the video of the incident, I realized I've seen him before, an overgrown juvenile delinquent with a penchant for mischief. In the past, I've observed him rubbing shoulders with the types of people I go to great efforts to avoid: criminals, junkies, head cases, etc. After a few unsuccessful attempts at getting me to answer him, he confirms that I made the right call, calling me a fucking dog as he walks away. If I had responded, well, you know the rest. While this is happening, I make sure he stays in the camera's field of view as he moves about and starts with the insults, but I never say a word to him in retaliation. To do otherwise would just play into the hands of his demonic masters. But as he walks away, I can feel a smile begin to stretch its way across my face, because I've just recorded another piece of proof in a growing body of evidence that it's not me that's the problem, contrary to what others with a vested interest might say.
Excuse me, do you know where the medical center is? Buddy. Hey. Buddy. No need to ignore me. You don't speak English. No man, no need to be a rude cunt. Fucking dog.
Now, even if you don't believe that gang stalking is real, I'm sure the irony will not be lost on you of someone complaining that I'm rude for not saying a word, while they string words together with the express intention of causing offense. Years of encountering people like this, walking vortices of trouble, always trying to position themselves around you so you end up stepping in their bullshit drama and getting their stench all over your shoe, and I've had enough of living in a city. The more people around you, the greater the potential for conflict. And it's only going to get worse as the global population increases, as it surely will, and governments increase the urban density of their cities to cope with the increasing number of people living in the same space. I question the sanity of anyone who finds themselves well adjusted to life in the city, and who thinks getting up every morning with the intention of spending the rest of their lives in one is a good idea. I mean, one minute you're just going about your peaceful business, taking care of life's necessaries, and the next the bloody war breaks out. Take the next two clips for example. In my last video, The Cautious Persistence of Gang Stalkers, I talked about the use of unfounded allegations and how this type of attack has regained favour among local gang stalkers. It gives them a way of trying to get under my skin without looking like a blatant perpetrator.
Hey, stop making a fucking mess in the bathroom. Hey, when you use the shower, please leave it clean, please.
I mean, this is the guy that was looking at me like this. Now, do you think this is the look of someone motivated solely by the opportunity to offer some friendly or constructive advice? Or is this the face of someone who wants to cause me harm? Again, the gang stalker's objective is the police wanting to have a word with me. Well, over the next two clips, as a result of a false accusation against me from one very irritating individual that I can't stand to be around, the gang stalkers finally got their wish. The police were very anxious to have a word with me. Only it wasn't me the police were ultimately after. It was the gang stalkers. Let me start at the beginning. I'll play the clips and explain things as we go along. Okay, so I'm on my way to the local community centre. A gang stalker riding a bicycle has just conveniently arrived at the same time. This individual embodies all three of the characteristics I mentioned earlier that I make a point of steering clear of. He's a junkie, a criminal, and a head case. So I try to avoid him whenever I see him unless he says something. Then it's lights, camera, action. As soon as I step onto the grounds of the community centre, the perp walks onto the premises through another entrance, appearing to synchronize his movements so that we'll end up walking within close proximity of each other. Since he's nearby, I stop and wait for him to go by. Now, in a moment, I hear someone walking behind me, and I turn slightly to see who it is. To my horror, it's the perp I called a prolific troublemaker earlier, walking close behind me. I really don't like being around her either, so I actually run off as soon as I see her. In fact, I don't even like looking at her, so I've codenamed her Medusa. To look in her direction is to court trouble, as you will see. Medusa is not happy that I ran off. She angrily calls out, "Hey," after I start running. She then walks towards the two males you saw her standing next to earlier. One of them is the replacement agent, Pending. The other is the perp who arrived on his bike. Medusa is a particularly vindictive and spiteful character. I know she's about to start some trouble. She walks towards her friends, calling out in a wounded tone of voice, "Listen," as if someone just did her wrong. My instincts tell me that someone is going to be me, so I turn around to face them just in case. Medusa notices that I'm watching and immediately becomes abusive. As I turn to walk away, the other two follow her lead, yelling insults at me. I spot my opportunity to capture their behavior on camera, so I turn back towards them and stay quiet. This is what happens next. I've codenamed the perp who arrived on his bike at the start of this clip and who is speaking now, Stretch, as he's done some body modification work on his earlobes. Based on what Medusa quietly told him, Stretch accuses me of always causing people problems. As you saw, all I did was run and then turn around to look in their direction. I didn't even look directly at them. I was more interested in what Medusa was going to say because I had a feeling that she was going to accuse me of something. But regardless of what I do or don't do, gang stalkers remain determined to push the narrative that I'm a problem. Yet just as with the perp who asked me for directions earlier, who is doing all the talking? Who is using offensive language? And who remains quiet, never saying a word?
Why are you starting on every car, bro? Why are you starting on every car?
Sky, Pete. Sky.
Hold that.
Pete, go, please. I know you're recording, listen. I know you're recording, just go, please.
As you can see, this individual closest to me is trying to defuse the situation, but he's about to learn about the need to exercise better judgment when choosing his friends in the next clip.
I know you're recording, just go. Leave the bloke alone, bro, that's all I'm asking. Go, please. Go. I like you. I respect you. Go, please. Please. Look at me. I respect you. Go. I need to do a thing.
Fair enough, but you know what this is, so I need you to leave.
That's not mine.
Well, then I need you to leave.
I'm done.
I need you to get out. Alright, offside.
I
Let's
can't
go. It's
because
not a
someone
pub.
rang me.
Sorry, Peter. Thank you.
That's all right, thank you.
I left the premises shortly after that and returned about 20 minutes later, which brings us to part 2 of this drama. In this clip, I'm heading back to the community centre. As I'm walking up the street, I see Pending, Stretch and Medusa further up the road. Pending and Stretch appear to be arguing with the one that was trying to calm things down, so I crossed the road to avoid them.
All right, I can see them in the distance, so I'm going to cross the road, as I have, avoid them. Dustbins are in the way.
As I passed them, I can hear the argument starting to get heated. I can hear Stretch getting louder and angrier, and I know he's going to do something stupid. So I get ready to call the police. This is what happens next.
Why is he coming around fighting?
Now they're fighting amongst themselves. Please, please. Yep. Please, thanks. Yeah. Hello. Hello. There's a fight going on. It's in. So the nearest cross street is. So it's right next to. It's one of the roads off. Big fight. I can see. Yeah. There's a big fight, and I can see a guy walking towards me with blood covering his face and his t-shirt. I think it's two.
Peter, they come to bash you up.
Yeah. I can see them walking. They're all walking away now, but I know where the ones that attack the one that's bleeding. I can see where they're going. They're heading towards. Yeah, there's a couple of them. The one that's covered in blood just told me that he was assaulted by several people, and they said that they're coming for me as well because I've had a couple of arguments with these people, and they want to get me. In fact, this whole argument between the one that's bloodied and this group of people that bashed him up started because of an argument between them and me. I recorded the whole thing on video and didn't say a word. I just walked away, and so now they've had a go at him for some reason. I don't know, and they've just bashed him up on the street. They didn't threaten me. They personally didn't. They didn't come up to me and threaten me. But the guy they just bashed up said that they told him they want to get me as well. Yeah. No. They've separated. They've gone their separate ways. There's a police car coming now. I can hear it. Yeah. Those, sorry, someone's just asking me a question. Those people that I argued with, they just bashed that guy up.
What the fuck?
I don't know why he was arguing with them.
So there you have it. Gang stalkers turning on their drinking buddies on one another because I've made it difficult for them to turn on me. I called it in my last video when I hinted that Pending looked like he wanted to cause me harm, and you heard it from someone else other than me. I'm targeted. The victim admitted it, that Pending and Stretch were fixing to do to me what they did to him. It was the fact that he tried to reason with the gang stalkers and talk them out of it that infuriated the gang stalkers into attacking him. By the way, the perpetrators were caught and have since been charged. As you saw, it was pretty serious, so I wouldn't be surprised if the culprits have been remanded into custody until the case is heard, and I haven't seen Pending or Stretch since that day. This has never happened in all the years I've been targeted. Gang stalkers have always been able to avoid this level of scrutiny or accountability. But choosing to wear a camera every day has really turned that around. I've been scoring major victories against local gang stalkers all year. The combative whitebeards silenced, multiple perps exposed for the professional troublemakers they are, and now 2 replacement agents possibly in jail and facing serious assault charges. I'll have to watch my back very closely from now on. Then again, I always have. But as the last 2 clips demonstrate, the moral of the story here is that even if you were not a target to begin with, and regardless of your prior relationship with them, if you go against their will, and therefore that of their satanic masters, gang stalkers will turn on you too.